Hey everyone, this reading is about Brittany Shank. One of you asked me to read about her, and I have today off, so I'm actually reading about her today. Wish I could do that every time someone asks me to read about someone. So, Brittany Shank disappeared in Burr Oak, Michigan. It's by Sturgis in St. Joseph County. And it's an odd case because she actually got into a car accident. And the police do believe she was the one driving the car, from what I can understand, because of where the seat was positioned in the car. And she was pretty short, only 5'1". So they do believe she was the driver. Two people have reported that she was walking around in the neighborhood by where she got into the accident after the accident. She actually went up to a guy's house, an elderly man. We have no reason to believe he would lie about that. And she was trying to call 911, but she, I guess, couldn't get through outside, or he was trying on a cell phone. So he went inside to call on the landline, and he gave her a jacket. She didn't have a jacket on. She didn't have shoes on, I don't think. I think she was just in socks. And when he came back out, she was gone. And then there's a teenager that also said that she popped in by his house and was knocking on the door, that she was at the front door, but then he heard, or she was at the back door, but then someone was knocking at the front door. And there's a confusion over whether she was with someone else or not that day, a man. She'd been to her grandmother's earlier in the day, and there was a man with her, and people don't know who this man was. It wasn't her boyfriend. So there's a lot of mystery here. She just is gone. There's been some extensive searches. No one's found her. Air searches, land searches, nothing. There's been a lot of stories that mom has been told too. I guess she has visited some mediums, psychics. She has gone that route, which a lot of people do after they go through the police, and that doesn't turn anything up. So mom's kind of developed her own theories out of these readings, and we'll ask a little bit more about that. Mom seems to think that she was picked up by someone, she was assaulted and kept alive for a couple weeks perhaps, and then something bad was done to her. There's also, strangely, a video that circulated that was sent to Brittany's mother. Jessica is her mom's name. And in this video, there's a man walking up to a residence or business, I'm not sure which it is, but he's stealing some boots. And he goes back to get in the car, and he opens the door, and you can hear a woman like gasping for breath. And people say he said, "I'm not going to hurt you," but it really sounded to me like he was telling someone else, "Don't hurt her." That's really kind of what I heard when I listened to it. And I thought she was in there with somebody else who was hurting her. That was the impression I got. Anyway, Brittany's mom thinks that was Brittany. So we're going to read about that too. There's just a lot of different angles in this case. We're going to ask a lot of different questions. There's a pretty involved podcast. I didn't watch the whole podcast. In fact, I didn't watch any of that podcast. I watched little snippets of news articles and other people that had smaller podcasts, shorter, because it was just way too long for me to watch. But that has brought a lot of attention to this case, and she's still missing now. Brittany was 23 when she disappeared, and that was 4 years ago. And I will say that she was addicted to meth, so there were drug problems there. All of her belongings were still in the car. So what happened? Sometimes people get closed head injuries, and it kind of makes them just weird. They're not with it, and they go off, and bad things can happen. The police even put out that maybe she she succumbed to the 20, 30 degree weather that night. Maybe she succumbed to injuries. There's just a lot of guesses, and nobody knows. So we're just going to ask what the cards say. And first thing I'm going to ask is, was somebody else involved in her disappearance? Because that seems to be the biggest question that people have. So Was someone else involved in the disappearance of Brittany Shank? I'm just going to call her Shank. So a lot of articles just call her Brittany Shank. Others call her Brittany Wallace Shank. I think she was married a few times and she had 4 kids. So was someone else involved? I mean, we do have this man showing up as the Knight of Pentacles, and then we have the Devil, which does make me feel like perhaps somebody else was involved. That's really what it looks like. The woman chained to the man, you know, it's not a great, um, it's not a great message. That also can be a man giving her drugs. So meaning, was she beyond just in an accident? Meaning, was she on a lot of drugs and they were having an effect on her too, but kind of feeling like somebody else was involved. I do. Let's just if she was alone in the car, because that'll tell us other things too. Was she alone in the car? Was Brittany alone in the car she was in? Some people say since she was with a man earlier that day, maybe she was still with that man. Maybe he did something to her. Was Brittany alone in the car during the time of the accident? This is the 2 of Swords, which makes me think of 2, you know? So it does make me think maybe there were 2 people in the car. I don't think she was doing well. And I say that because the woman's got a blindfold, and I keep getting that from that Devil card too. I think she was probably on drugs while she was driving, or drinking too much or something. We have the 5 of Cups here. You know, there's spilled cups. There's things that I think she was really sad too. I just feel like things weren't going good for her at all. Makes me feel like something in her head. So maybe a head injury with that bandage on the 2 of Swords. I do feel like somebody else might have been with her as well. You know, you see these cups and they're like, down here there's like spilled blood, right? Really, there's red coming out of them. That's what it makes me think of. So there's an issue here I don't like. There's an issue here I don't like at all. Okay, so did she just succumb to the weather like the police are saying? Did she just freeze? That's what they're saying could have happened to her, and it has happened before to people. And if you're partying, not kind of in your right mind because of drugs already, and then you get in an accident and have an additional closed head injury, something like that could happen. So tell me about her succumbing to the weather. All right, so we've got these 2. I think the weather was a bit of a factor here, but I kind of don't think that's what happened. I mean, she wasn't dressed right for the weather. I see that in the star. And I do consider the 6 of Wands a yes card. But we have this other situation over here, which is making me question things. So I'll ask a little clarification on that on her, because we do have her out in the weather with the star not dressed appropriately. Let me ask about, was this because of the weather? Is that what happened? Well, now we have the Knight of Swords charging in, so I kind of don't think so. I just don't think so. I do think maybe there was, I'm just going to ask, was there a man involved? A man involved here. Really, it looks like that. Tell me about a man being involved in Brittany's disappearance. Yeah, I really do think there was, because that's my judgment card, and that's I get this card sometimes when someone, I hate to say it, but murders someone else and takes them out of the world. You know, it's like they make the judgment call to take someone else's, to make someone else pass. And that's sort of the feeling I'm getting, that there was someone else involved. Okay. Was she being chased? Some people believe that night she was being chased by someone. Was Brittany being chased? And that's why they think when the guy went in to call 911, because she just knocked on his door and said she needed help, that when he came back out, she was gone. They think she was being chased. So let's ask about that. Was Brittany being chased? This is the innocent card, the Fool. So I don't think she was being chased. What I think she was, I do think she wasn't in her right mind. I do think that. And I do think she was just wandering around. And I do think she wasn't thinking right. I truly think because of drugs and maybe she had a head injury, I think she wasn't thinking right. But I do see something else going on as well. All right, how about what I'm going to ask, was the man who she was seen earlier with at her grandmother's house involved in her disappearance? Because nobody knows who this guy was. So was the man she was with earlier that day at her grandma's house involved in her disappearance? Said he was a blonde guy. Was the man she saw at her grandma's house involved in her disappearance? He drove her somewhere. I do feel like he was in the car with her. We see that here. I think she was the passenger. Weirdly, because the police said that she was driving, but I feel like definitely he was in the car with her. I feel like he was interested in her. Like he liked her. Relationship wise, he may have taken her away. It does look like he had something to do with moving her in a vehicle. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, this guy, if you look at him, he's even blonde. Yeah, it's just, I really think that guy did have something to do with it. I'm going to ask, can Brittany be found within 2 miles of the crash site? Because that would say, can she be found within 2 miles of the crash site? More of like kind of maybe succumbing to some sort of injury or whatever. Can she be found within 2 miles of the crash site? Again, we have a man that took action, so I really kind of don't think so. I feel like it's beyond that. I feel like a man took her. That is what it looks like. So we'll ask, was she picked up? Because that's what it looks like. Was Brittany picked up by someone? Was she picked up? Was Brittany picked up by someone? Yeah, she was. And it was someone who had a sexual interest in her. And we saw that before and we see it again. And with the devil as well. She was. Yeah. Let me ask, was she assaulted? I hate asking these things, but her mom's saying these things. Was she assaulted? Like her mom believes this is what happened to her. And the cards, unfortunately, are sort of going that angle too. Was she assaulted? Was Brittany assaulted? It does look like there was a fight. This is two people fighting down here. This is a woman, really worried. It does look like something maybe nefarious did happen. I hate to say it, but getting cards that are kind of proving this theory that her mom came up with. Was she kept alive for a week or two. I don't know how her mom came up with that, but I guess somebody told her that. So tell us about Brittany still being alive a couple weeks, a week, 2 weeks after her accident. Tell us about Brittany being alive a week, 2 weeks after her accident. I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing it. Okay, so was the woman in that video that was crying in the car? I know if you haven't watched this, it's going to be confusing, but there was a video of a woman crying in a car. Remember I said the guy was stealing boots or something, and they think it's Brittany. So let's just ask if that was her. Tell me about the woman in that car being Brittany. Tell me about that being Brittany. Tell me about the woman in that car being Brittany. You know, honestly, what I'm getting is by that time Brittany was already passed. I don't know when that video was made. Um, I don't think it. I don't think it was. I think that was somebody else. That's kind of what I'm getting. Kind of passed and in the ground with the Page of Pentacles. I do feel like there's maybe an element of being in the ground. Let's see. Her mom, I don't know where this came from, but her mom questioned whether a law enforcement officer was involved in her disappearance. So we're just going to ask that too. Was there a law enforcement officer involved in Brittany's disappearance? And I, again, don't know where her mom's getting this information. I think it maybe from psychics. Was a law enforcement officer involved in her disappearance? No, I don't think so. I think they were trying to help. This is my helping card. I do feel like they were trying to help. There's just so many theories, and with missing people cases, you could go down so many different rabbit holes, and that's what this is reminding me of. Like, you could go down so many rabbit holes. Sometimes something that looks good isn't good, and sometimes something that looks bad is, you know, it just, you could go all different ways. There's just so many theories in this case, but I feel like the police actually were trying to help. So I don't feel like that. I don't feel like any of the police are involved, not from what I'm seeing. All right, I do get cards that suggest she is passed. I'm going to ask, tell me about her, Brittany, being alive, breathing, still in the world, or is she a beautiful spirit that has transitioned and is no longer in a warm body as a human? So tell me about Brittany still being alive in this world as a physical being, or is she passed in the spiritual world? Tell me about Brittany being alive. So I feel like she's passed. You know, that's leaving things behind and going in a different direction. Usually don't get this card for a card that's just passed, but I do feel like this card's either telling me that she is very far away from everything that she loved and knew, or that she is past. And I'm kind of feeling more into the past, kind of going off into what feels to me like the spiritual world, but that's not a card 100% that I get for a past. So let me just ask for clarification on that card and tell me about her being in spirit as a spiritual being, or is she still in a body tethered as a human into the earthly world? Let's ask about that. Tell us about Brittany. Tell us about Brittany being human or past. Well, I don't have a card 100% saying she's past. I do have the Seven of Wands, which is a lot coming at her and her trying to protect herself. And the Two of Wands, that's just saying, like, there's plans, and seems like things maybe got. I think she was taken away. I'm getting that she was taken away against her wishes. Taken away. I'm not going to say 100% she's passed, but I don't feel like she's, yeah, I feel like she's taken away. Don't feel like, I don't 100%, I can't say she's passed, but I do feel like she's been taken away. This card, though, made me feel like the girl in the car wasn't her, because she was, it really felt like past before that. But then I'm asking, and I'm getting these cards that aren't telling me for sure she is. So I'm going to leave this one as I can't say one way or the other. I really can't. Just looks like she was taken away. I've got two cards now telling me she was trying to protect herself and she was taken away. Interesting. Let me ask how she can be found. Usually I get a pretty clear-cut answer on that. How can she be found? How can Brittany be found? That I'm not getting a clear-cut answer makes me feel like, whoa, maybe there's hope that she could be still alive. That would be lovely. How can she be found? Ace of Wands. Well, I did get the wands before, twice, in my previous question. And it does make me wonder if she's in the woods somewhere, or if a man has her. Ace of Wands can stand for a man. So let's go and ask about that. Which way? Is she in the woods somewhere? Is Brittany in the woods somewhere? Tell us about Brittany being in the woods. In Earth, I do feel that again. Earth, woods, potentially. It's kind of like saying, look on the pentacles are tangible objects like Earth. You know, that it's like, makes me feel like she could be outside. Either that or they're using her to make money. That is a possibility too. So I'm going to ask, is this an outside thing? Is she in the woods again? To clarify that. So I could take that a couple different ways. Is Brittany in the woods? Yeah, that's telling me that's true. So we'll leave it at that. That's where she could be found. But away. She like walked away. She went away. So wherever their search area is, let me ask if they've searched where she is. Have they searched where Brittany is? Because I feel like she may have gone away further than they think she did or something. Somebody took her away. Yeah. Have they searched where Brittany is? She's, the magician is like, makes things disappear. So she's disappeared from that area. Or she's hidden really darn good in that area. But I feel like she's disappeared from that area. This is, it's a tough case. How can Brittany be found? How can Brittany be found? How can Brittany be found? So there's the three of wands, and we did get the two of wands before when I was asking about her being past or not. We had that whole like woods kind of theme and plans with the two of wands, and now we've got the three of wands, which is like putting those plans into place, and hermit there too. Just feel like away, away. With that hermit, I feel like a cabin in the woods far away or something, like away, away. It's like she was taken far away. Yeah, that's what it feels like by this. She must have got picked up and taken far away. Either that or she went far, far away. I feel like somebody else was involved. Um, so let's just ask, where is she? Card that represents where Brittany is. Where is Brittany? I'm being drawn again to that Temperance card. Yeah, see, I was being drawn to Temperance, which this is an angel card. And then the card I pull is the Ten of Swords, which is not a good card either. She either, from what I can see, either somebody picked her up and took her away. And further away, like, I don't know, where is she? Michigan? I feel like, I can't remember. I lived in Michigan. I can't remember if there's like I feel like up a hill or something. Upwoods, going up maybe a long drive into the back. Woods, cabin, or something like that. This is not a good card for where she is. This card often indicates somebody has passed, and I do have cards that kind of hint at that. But when I asked, it's telling me away, away, away. When I was asking past or not, it just kept telling me look away, look away, look away in the woods, away. So let me ask, will she be found? Tell me about Brittany being found. Tell me about Brittany being found. I just feel like she's in a place where it's hidden, secrets may not be found. There's a lot of secrets tied to what happened with her. A lot of secrets. So let me ask for final words of advice about Brittany, because we just don't have the greatest reading here. Any words of advice about Brittany? Any words of advice? I keep getting that. Well, she's away. Words of advice. This is the Ace of Pentacles, which is, again, I feel like this earthy connection, this away. We've got, you could go through that path and it just looks like you can go way up there. Remember I was saying I kind of feel like up? I feel like she's up. We've got that little mountain up there, a little path, and then it kind of goes up. I feel that. I feel like it's somewhere up and it's a cabin, cottage, something, woodsy area. And then we have the Three of Cups. So that begs the question, is it telling us, yes, it's far away and up, or once you get there, look around water, because the cups can stand for water. So I'm just going to ask for some clarification on that. I'm going to ask, is she on the ground? A card that represents, like, is she on the ground? Is she in water? Is she, tell us about that. We're still walking around alive. I do have cards that suggest she's not alive, but I really like to think she is. You hope for the best. It's been 4 years, but tell us about, tell us about any advice. Well, that's and anything about the land, water. You know, we've got a wand, so again, that's hinting towards woods. I keep getting woods. Some other people have said water, but I keep getting woods. It's like, look in the woods. Look in the woods. That's what I keep getting. I feel like woods. All right. That's not the greatest reading for Brittany. I was hoping for something better, but it seems to fall in line with a lot of the other theories out there, unfortunately. She possibly could be buried in the ground. I do have some cards alluding to that in the woods. Not sure if there's water around. We got the Three of Cups, and there are a few cards that are by water, but when I specifically asked, it looked more in the woods and more in the ground, on the ground or in the ground. So I do feel she's outside. I do feel she was either taken far away. I do feel with that chariot, somebody picked her up, or she walked really far away. But either way, it feels like she ended up in a situation with maybe somebody that wasn't very good for her. And I just don't think it ended well. I see this element of trying to protect yourself and stuff in here. So I wish I had better news for her. Unfortunately, these theories her mom was given seem to be proving to be right. Although I will say when I did specifically a dead or alive, I didn't get, yes, firmly she's dead. What they rarely were pushing me is pushing me away, like look away from all those search areas. You gotta keep looking because she's like way beyond that. So I don't think she's gonna be found though. I don't think she's gonna be found. That's the worst part. That's sad, but that's a situation. It doesn't look good. I don't feel very positive about it, and it just doesn't look good to me. All right, take care.